My favorite thing in the whole wide world. I loved it.
She still listens to it every night. She loves it.
Good morning, everybody. Today we're here with our star, Sophie. Hi, Sophie.
Hi.
My co-producer, Vicky, and Tony Friedman, who was the mix engineer and the vocal recording engineer. Actually, an old friend of mine. We went to high school together. Good morning, Tony. How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you. How are you all?
We're good.
We're really good.
Really
Good
good.
to see
Thanks
you
for
again.
joining us. So, wanted to talk a little today about the vocal recording sessions that we all participated in together, and a little bit about the mix. And Sophie, let's start with you. One of the things that I think I always want to, point out to people is, you were a 6-year-old girl. You were recording your first professional album. You had a huge day at Cowell Recording Studio, surrounded by some amazing musicians. And then we spent, I think, about 5 days, you, your mom, Tony, and I working on recording the vocals and mixing the album. So I have to say, you handled it like a real pro. I mean, that's a nervous thing for just about anybody, especially a 6-year-old girl who is doing this for the first time. So what were your feelings going into the recording of your vocals? It was an entirely different thing. Do you remember what it was like? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Do you remember anything about that?
I was excited. Like, it was fun. It was like Tony was so patient. And
He was
it
patient.
was so fun to literally sing in. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah, we'd worked once or twice before with Tony, and Tony certainly made it a much easier and more comfortable environment. We've talked about throughout the whole process and the whole documentary that it was very important to surround you, Sophie, with not only the most professional, but keep that kind of family environment. And Tony, why don't you tell me what it was like a little? We had done a couple things with Sophie, but had you ever worked? You've been in the music business and mixing and recording business for how many years now?
33. Yeah, I've been doing this for 33 years, and I have worked with some young artists before, but I don't know that I've ever worked with someone as young as Sophie, and certainly not on material that is sophisticated as this material was. I mean, there's so much subtlety and nuance, and the way she was able to grasp that at her age was just phenomenal.
Sophie, what do you recall? Do you remember what was your favorite part about, it was an entirely different type of thing. We were at Capitol Studios with 30, 40 people, and then it was a small room with your mom, Tony, and I. What was your favorite part of recording the vocals?
It was singing.
I thought donuts was your favorite part.
Well, kind of. It was singing mostly.
Above all things, you've always said that that's one of your favorite things to do is just actually go out and sing, right?
Singing is like my favorite thing in the whole wide world.
We were in there recording vocals with you, the 6 songs for, I think it was about 5 days.
I think it was 5 days, yeah.
What was your favorite song to record the vocals for?
It's just all of the songs I sing, I love them. And when I was in the room too, it was so fun.
So Tony, working with Sophie, the type of singer that she was, and as you say, the type of complexity, was there a different way that you approached this from a setup standpoint, from a technical standpoint?
Well, I thought in this case in particular, because of her age and how many people were involved. If she was in an ISO booth also, it would literally be isolating for her, and at her age to be able to manage all of that, I think that would have been a bigger challenge. So we had a very intimate setup, I think, where she was standing right next to me, and Vicky was standing right next to her, and then you were right behind us. So it was like I say, intimate to record that way, and I think it was important because there was nothing scary about it when we did it like that.
There was a point, Tony, where you taped off a little box for Sophie to stand in order to get the right distance from the mic for her. Vicky, you were really integral in producing and coaching the vocal performances.
Sophie as is, of course, putting aside her perfect pitch and her vocals as is, when you record a sound without an image, that creates whole new level of complexity. When you listen to Sophie and you watch her perform, I would say 50% of whatever product you're getting, whatever impression you're getting, it's seeing her, grasping her charisma, her energy, her personality, her the whole image. When you just switch to sound only, it's such an incredible challenge because you take 50% of this out completely. My biggest challenge, because she doesn't understand why does she has to do it differently than she normally does. Those songs for her is something she's really natural with, something very used to explain to her that now we need to triple and quadruple the energy and phrase by phrase make it into some sort of a play. To say whoops and then make a cute face, the audience buys it like this, but when you say whoops without the image, you have to put 3 times more energy into that whoops. And for her and for me, I think that was the 99% of those 5 days in the studio, for me to trying to explain how every phrase has to be over-delivered, because nobody can see her cute face, nobody can see her dances, nobody can see that incredible, overwhelming energy just that she produces with her presence on the audience. She was so amazing, just kind of absorbing in everything I told her to do, and she really delivered. But for me, it was, Tony, I think, was a hero. I was such an unstoppable force when we were in that intimate setting. I was too much, I think.
Sophie, was it difficult for you to have to record certain things over and over again? You seem to handle that pretty well, but what were you thinking at the time?
It is fun to sing, but I was like, wow, this has to be really perfect. I felt like 100 takes.
Yeah, there were some things that we took 100 takes of. And she was looking at me like, what did I do different this time? I was like, trust me, it was different, just do it again. And she was like, oh my. I was like dancing around her, which I didn't realize because I wanted to get the emotion. She did great. She did take after take.
Tony, so you're looking at this. What we came up with was not overly produced, overly processed. Sophie does have perfect pitch. When we were recording it and when she was nailing those takes, there wasn't a lot of modulation. It was pretty genuine what we ended up with, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Something that has to really occur with songs like these is it has to feel organic, it has to feel natural, and nothing was forced, nothing was overly processed. It was just several takes to try and get the nuance on certain lines. And for her age, she did an amazing job of finding not just the notes and the timing, but finding the inflection and the timbre.
All right. Woo-hoo. And it was interesting. For some reason, that song, just seemed to naturally flow throughout the entire process. The arrangement when we were putting it together, the day at Capitol, the guys in the studio, the horn section just nailed it.
Really good. It took us the least amount of time, I think, to record because she was just, first of all, really excited about this one. It's not like she wasn't excited about the other songs, but I could tell she couldn't. This is, I think, when we drew that box for her or something, because she just couldn't stand in one spot. For she was dancing, and now we have the footage with her just literally listening to the backing track before she started singing, and she was just dancing. She was so excited about this song. So I guess it just naturally, the flow was so natural because she just had fun with it the most.
There is a natural energy to that song that you can't help but enjoy yourself, and when you're enjoying yourself, it really comes across in the recording process for sure. You could hear that in the recording session at Capitol as well. The whole band perked up immediately when they went through that song because it has just that happy shuffle to it.
You know, that's really true, but it also could have been that was the last song of the session and they had been working pretty hard and maybe they just like, okay.
Fun doing it?
Yeah, it was so much fun, and I loved it because it had like so much growls, and
Growls. Yeah, she did she did like the most amount of growls on that song, that's for sure.
For High Hopes in particular, when you would work on the rough mixes for us, we would like push it hotter and higher and more disruptive, and then you would work on it, and then I don't think you were really comfortable. What were your thoughts about that whole process, especially with High Hopes, and really turning what is in often kind of a cutesy little song into that kind of more raw, disruptive mix that we ended up with?
Hopes that was probably one of the bigger challenges in the mix because the dynamic range is so huge. As you said, that was kind of a challenge, and you did have to kind of push me that direction. It was not my natural way to mix. I was taking a much more subtle approach, but I think you were right in the end to push me that direction. And that song, it has so much energy, and the way you recorded it actually, the shuffle on that pushes also a little faster than you would think when you get into the body of the song. And it propels you all the way through the tune. So the way it was recorded initially with the tempo and that feel really fit along with the dynamic range that you were also trying to get. It kept that same sort of energy, so it fit. It was appropriate. It was just a challenge for me to get on board with you initially.
Well, overall, I mean, it was a great working experience with you. Everybody along the way, I think when Vicky and I kind of reimagined the song for Sophie, it was much more different than what people are used to. When people default to High Hopes, they look at it from a different standpoint. But we certainly ended up with something that I know Vicky and I and Sophie are proud of. I'm sure you are too. And I think overall, it was a fantastic record. The mixes and the vocals were spot on. Did you have any overall thoughts about the project that were different at the end of it, Tony? And what was your overall feeling?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, this music is normally not done this way. So the vocals would be recorded live with the band normally, but that was not appropriate for the way this album was being done. And it was so for Sophie to come in after all of the tracks were done and nail the timing the way she did was phenomenal, because there's such a subtlety to the tempo pushes and to the dynamics of all of these tracks, and she was able to come along with all of it after the fact. So that was very impressive.
What about you, Sophie? What are your final thoughts on you recording your first album?
Do you like your album?
I loved it.
She still listens to it every night. She loves it.
Tony, thank you again. Vicky, thank you. And Sophie, thank you so very much for being who you are and being the amazing, wonderful young lady that you are. You all guys, thank you for watching. Everybody have a great day. Stay healthy. And we'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.